card to buy 100 party store gift cards? That's a lot of party supplies. Don't worry, though. VOS has your back when there's suspicious activity on your account. And we work fast to address any fraudulent charges. Are you ready for a better banking experience? Then make the bold move and switch to VOS today. Visit bankwithvos.com. Member FDIC.
This is the Verizon Extra Innings Show. Verizon, the most reliable 5G in St. Louis.
Out of the stretch. The 1-2 pitch with 2 outs. There's a ground ball to the first baseman, Bush, flipping to Hodge, and this ball game has come to an end. Pajes is out in the final. The Cubs over the Cardinals 8-0.
What a difference a day makes. Yesterday was one of the most fun games for the Cardinals all season long. Just a truly compelling contest with, at this time yesterday, we were talking about all the big plays that were made. And then today, it was a bit of a dud. Not a bit of a dud. It was a dud. They lose to the Cubs 8-0. Tough day for Eric Fetty on the mound. Tough day for offensively. Just the 4 hits. You give credit where credit's due. Matthew Boyd is having one heck of a season for the Cubs, and he looked good tonight in the bullpen for Chicago. They did their job as well. We talked in the network post-game show. It's fun to see Garrett Hampson. When you're having a really tough night, I think there's value in being able to walk out of the ballpark with a bit of a smile on your face, and watching a position player pitch can be that bit of relief that you want on a tough night. So good for Garrett Hampson. Goes out, 3 pitches, 3 outs. That was fun. Obviously, Cubs were swinging away there, which is what you want. And Cardinals lose by an 8-0 score today. Look, this is I don't think there's a lot to say about this game, to be honest with you. These happen over the course of 162 games. If you're going to get really upset about this one, I don't know what to tell you, because they're playing some really good baseball right now. They're winning a whole lot more than they're losing. And Eric Fetty had a bad day. Fetty came into today with a pretty good ERA. He entered the contest at 3.54. Now, he's been lucky. You look at like expected ERA. It's much higher than that. So maybe that's some of what happened today, is just sort of the regression to the mean, for, lack of a better term. But yeah, Fetty was not good. Lots of hard contact against him. We'll see what this means for him moving forward. I think, anytime somebody has a day like this, you watch what happens the next start and then kind of the start after. One of my kind of philosophies, we talked about this a lot when Andre Palante was struggling. We talked about with Matthew Liberatore when he went through his downturn. I'm not a big reactor in season because of how long the season is and how everybody goes through ups and downs. So for me, I'm somebody I've got to watch it. I got to watch it kind of go in the wrong direction for a little while before I'm reacting to it. And my rule of thumb when it comes to starting pitchers who are going at a pretty good rate and then all of a sudden it's not so good for them, I generally don't get overly worried about anything until 3 straight starts where it doesn't look especially good. What he had done coming into this, his last start, 5 innings against the White Sox, gave up 2 runs, 1 earned on 6 hits. That's fine. Before that, at Milwaukee, 5 1/3 innings, 3 runs on 4 hits. Not great, but fine. Against the Dodgers on June 7th, did not give up a run on 4 hits, 5 1/3 innings. That was fine. At Texas on June 1st, 6 innings, 2 runs, 4 hits. Fine. This is not a trend. Again, like I said earlier, some of the expected numbers and some of the underlying numbers for Fetty would make you believe he's gotten a little bit lucky this season. But a 3.5 ERA is a 3.5 ERA, and that's what he had before this game, before this took place. Now his ERA went up by basically a half run today, jumped from 3.54 to 4.11. But it would be disingenuous of me to hop on this post-game show and rant and rave about Eric Fetty when he just had a bad start. And just red flag goes up just a little bit, and we'll keep an eye on him the next time he goes out. Offensively, Cardinals, 2 things from an offensive standpoint. They've been a bit of a roller coaster this year. They've been a bit all or nothing, so that it kind of follows along that line, but they've been scoring a bunch of runs. They scored a bunch of runs the first 2 games of this series. I look at Matthew Boyd, and I know a lot of people view him as somebody who's, very hittable because of, what he's done throughout his career. He's putting together a career year right now. Although to be fair, last year was pretty good at 2.72 ERA. Didn't pitch a lot, only made 8 appearances with Cleveland last year. But I mean, he's a guy who's got a plus 4.5 ERA over the course of his career. And I give credit to Matthew Boyd. That's my initial reaction. Give credit to Boyd. He's a left-hander. Cardinals are not as good against lefties, so that's especially with Ivan Herrera not around right now. That's a big loss when they're going to face lefties. I guess that's a legitimate narrative, and we'll continue that conversation tomorrow because they're going to face off against Shota Imanaga tomorrow. So that's we'll see what they are able to do as they take on another left-hander. But I guess like I'm sitting here like fishing for narrative storylines, things to talk about, and I'm having a hard time with it because I just don't think there's a lot of substance to what happened in this one. It's just a tough game, just a tough game all the way around. If you want to chime in, we'll welcome your phone calls, your text messages, your tweets, your messages on the video stream. Some of those are starting to come in. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call or text. You can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air, or leave a message on the video chat. We'll take a break and we'll start rolling through some messages coming up in just a moment. It's the Extra Innings Show right here on KMOX. We are being brought to you, as always, by Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. More in a moment on KMOX.
Winner of 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards, including overall excellence. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Spring into a new home with amazing savings at TR Hughes. Hi, I'm Jason Hughes with TR Hughes Homes, and we are currently offering half off up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs on brand new to-be-built homes at select TR Hughes communities. That's right, half up to $40,000 in options and up to $5,000 in closing costs. Visit trhughes.com for details.
The choice of a home builder is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
However, you really should visit trhughes.com.
When it comes to DSPs, usability matters. Some platforms bury you in complexity. Results-driven advertising shouldn't look like a chemistry experiment. Viant's AI-powered DSP streamlines setup, automates measurement and optimization, and keeps you in control. Less clicking, more strategy. And with proven CTV leadership across premium publishers, Viant works smarter and delivers stronger. Why are you still trading on a desk? Visit Viant.ai to unlock real results today.
You might know Gray Bar for cable and connectivity, but there's one more thing you should know us for that can help optimize your project's total value, like our comprehensive electronic solutions for security, AV, wireless, and networking, or our specialized job site services, like material staging and kitting, or maybe our logistics specialists who can help you identify efficiencies and ensure just-in-time delivery. So consider what one more thing you may need to optimize your bottom line and get to know us for that. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Now, back to the Verizon Extra Innings Show.
Welcome back in. Cardinals lose tonight as they fall by an 8-0 score to the Chicago Cubs. They've still taken 2 of the first 3. And, they'll look for a series win coming up tomorrow if they can get the victory there. If you want to join us, you can do so by calling, texting, tweeting. If you call or text 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900, call or text. Tweet at me, at Matt Pauley on air, or leave a message on the video stream. And you can do that by doing that. If you're watching on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and all those social media channels that we're on. All right, let's we got a message from Justin. And he said, why are the Cardinals keeping Sim Robertson on the 40-man roster when he will not pitch again this year? I think what I'm about to say is correct, but I need, if somebody wants to, if I get this wrong and somebody listening or texting wants to correct me, feel free, because I'm like 90% sure of what I'm about to say. I think that if you've got a guy on the 40-man roster who's in the minor leagues and they go to the 60-day injured list, I think they start getting big league pay. I'm not 100% sure of that. I texted somebody. I texted Kevin Wheeler saying, "Is that so?" And Kevin just texted me back, and he said, "I think so." So I think that's right. So that would be my initial answer to that. And if they need that 40-man roster spot, I'm sure they will be more than willing to get him on the 60-day injured list and create a spot on the 40-man. Like I don't think that's going to be a block to them doing something. But at the same time, if you're the Cardinals, like why go spend that money that you don't need to spend? It's not just an automatic thing. So that would be my initial answer. Maybe there's something else that I'm not even thinking through. That was not the question that I was expecting to get after the Cardinals lost to the Cubs 8-0. But that is my that's my initial reaction to that. I think, and again, if anybody is more versed in all of that and I got that wrong, feel free to tell me. But I believe a minor leaguer who goes to the 60-day injured list would then start getting major league pay. And I believe would get major league service time as well with that as well. I think so. I feel like I should know this. So there you go. All right. Some of the messages that have come in via the text says, let's see, a text message from the 314 said, why don't the Cardinals keep McGreevy in the big leagues? He's 24. Where is his runway? In regards to Fetty, Ali said not his night. It hasn't been his night a lot this year. All right, so two things. Let's start with the back part. Like, has Eric Fetty given you some not so great performances this year? Sure. Like I can look at his day by day on against Boston back in April. He gave up 6 runs in 3 innings. Against Milwaukee in April, he had a 7 run performance. He gave up 5 runs against Baltimore over 5 innings on May 26th. Yeah, have there been some tough nights for Eric Fetty this year? Sure, there has. But come on, the dude's had a 3.5 ERA coming into this game. Like just saying he's had a lot of those not his nights. That's not really true. Has he had a lot of so-so games? Yeah, I'll go along with that. You know, I went through his game by game log earlier, just in the month of June. Again, against Texas, gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. That's very good. Against the Dodgers, scoreless 5 1/3 innings. That's very good. Against Milwaukee, 3 runs in 5 1/3. That's okay. 5 innings against the White Sox, 2 runs, 1 earned. That's pretty good. And then 7 runs tonight. So I think the texter is being unfair. The texter from 314 saying it hasn't been his night a lot this year. I would push back. Look, we don't have to like relitigate this McGreevy thing, right? If you don't, I like Michael McGreevy a lot. I'm excited to see what he's going to turn into. When the Cardinals got that rain out in Chicago, if you were listening to Sports Open Line that day, before they even announced it, I was talking about, hey, this is a potential opportunity to get McGreevy up here. So I'm a McGreevy guy. But the situation is the situation. The Cardinals have 5 starting pitchers here. Some of them you can't move off the roster. And you'd have 0 pitching depth who can go start games beyond Michael McGreevy at AAA. You could move Steven Matz back in the rotation if you would like, but it would hurt your bullpen, and there'd be ramp-up time to go along with it. I don't think Quinn Matthews is ready quite yet. He had a really, really tough start yesterday. He's still kind of finding himself. The situation the Cardinals are in right now is to preserve any depth that they possibly have when it comes to the starting rotation. It includes having Michael McGreevy at AAA much of the time, except when you get the opportunity to bring him up for a start here and a start there. Now, there are limits on how many times you can bring somebody up in a single season from AAA, and at some point in time, that's going to start to play. That's why that thing with the White Sox game and the rain out and the extra man, that doesn't count against it. That way, that was such a big deal because free. It was just a free opportunity. So I understand why people maybe want to see more of McGreevy. I I don't think what we saw from him yesterday is representative of who he is, but I also don't think what we had seen in all those starts beforehand was completely representative either, because his minor league numbers would tell you that this is a guy who's probably going to be a 3 or a 4 in the big leagues in all likelihood. The league's going to adjust to him a little bit. So we're clamoring for a guy who's going to be, I think he's going to be pretty good, like good, not great, probably. And I hope I'm wrong on that. I'd love for him to develop into a guy who's truly great. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. I'm hoping for that. But in terms of projection, that's, kind of a 3, 4. That's what people look at. So, yeah, that's the answer. It's organizational depth that you have to preserve. So they're doing this thing with Michael McGreevy, and sometimes it's not fair. Sometimes baseball is not fair. Text message from the 252 says Eric Fetty is awesome. Cardinals are better with him. The fans think that every starter should give up 1 run or less every start. It's not practical. That comes in from Tony. From our friend Teresa says, what a difference a day can make. What a difference a pitcher can make. I feel for Fetty. The Cubs are vengeful and determined tonight. Vengeful and determined. I like that. David sends in a message, said, Fetty just had a bad game. It happens, but I don't see him being re-signed. Do you think they'll trade him at the trade deadline and McGreevy take his spot? With the way Burley has stepped up, do you think Nootbaar or Walker could be available if the deal is right? All right, so a couple things in there. First off, Eric Fetty's not, he's got to, tonight wasn't, some of the expected numbers, some of the underlying numbers for Fetty, not great this season. And that's where it's really hard to talk through, because the overall numbers have been fine. He had a 3.5 ERA before this game started tonight. That's perfectly fine. That's good. There are some underlying numbers, expected ERA, things like that are way high. I don't know how that would impact his trade value. If you're at the trade deadline and there's a chance to move somebody to move an Eric Fetty, and you really like the return that you're going to get for him, yeah, I'm comfortable with that, because you do have Michael McGreevy sitting there. So if that situation presents itself, that's fine. If it doesn't present itself and you keep Eric Fetty for the rest of the year, that's fine too, because he's helped you win some ball games this year and he's done a nice job. Jordan Walker, I don't think will be made available. He is still too young, too cheap. Even if it doesn't come to him this year, there's still way too much time for him to continue to develop. The Nootbaar thing, I think they'd have to be blown away. I think they'd have to be absolutely blown away. And we've heard Oliver Marmol say before that, how important Lars Nootbaar is to this team this year, that Newt has to be Newt for this team to get to where they want to go. So I don't feel like that's likely, but I also don't think it's impossible. I've mentioned this a few times, and this is like 3 years old, but Craig Mish is a guy who covers the Miami Marlins. And I remember I think 2 off seasons ago, or maybe 3 off seasons ago, whenever it was, I had a conversation with him. And it was when the Cardinals reportedly were talking with the Marlins about some pitching. And he basically said that the Cardinals could have had just about any pitcher that the Marlins have if they would have been willing to give up Lars Nootbaar. And they weren't willing to give up Lars Nootbaar. This is a guy who's been very important to this organization. They like what he does, not just on the field, but off the field as well. So I would think that generally speaking, they're not looking to move on from Nootbaar. From, let's see, Mass Monster 525 says they're moving McGreevy slowly in a smart way. Said, I would not be putting McGreevy in the starting rotation yet. If a spot opens up, go. But you got to have pitching depth. Like the last thing here's what could sink the Cardinals. And sometimes I'm critical of the organization for having this, but what if mantra. Like it feels like sometimes they're making moves, and the move is because somebody said, but what if this happens? But what if this happens? But what if this happens? And almost feels like they're covering the but what ifs as opposed to just trying to put together like the best roster or whatever. And that's not across the board, but every once in a while, this team, there'll be a move, somebody will get called up, whatever it might be. And it just feels like it's almost to cover your backside more than anything else. The but what if, I think that's something we see sometimes, but here I'm going to do it. Here's my, but what if? What if you move on from one of your current starters? You trade Eric Fetty, you release Miles Michaels. I don't think that's going to happen. He's having a really, really good season. I'm just throwing out hypotheticals, like whatever it might be. You move on from one of those guys to create a spot in the rotation for Michael McGreevy. And then in the next week, 2 dudes in your starting rotation get injured. All of a sudden you become the New York Mets or the Milwaukee Brewers, or there's been a bunch of teams that have tons of starting pitching injuries. That would sink this team. They'd be done. They do not have the starting pitching in the organization to survive that. And that's what I would be worried about. That is what I would be worried about. David asks if Tyler Matzek's on the 40-man. He's never been on the 40-man. I'm actually a little bit surprised. I haven't even looked to see how I'm glad you brought his name up because he got signed. I remember when he got signed, I was like, you know what? I bet this guy's going to be up in the big leagues before we know it. And I haven't thought about him a single time since then. So we'll look at his numbers. He has not pitched this year for Memphis. So I don't know. I don't completely know what's going on with him. He's probably still ramping up or something, unless I just missed something. Maybe I just every once in a while I miss something. So let's see. Again, I'm throwing out this, but Tyler Matzek was not on the 40-man roster in the first place. And, he's somebody who I think could help in the bullpen at some point in time. But the bullpen's doing a nice job right now. I like what we've seen for the most part from the bullpen. They've kind of come back up again. So that's good for sure. Justin sends in a message. He's been watching along with what's going on across the minor league. So he said a report from Redbird Farmhands that Andre Granillo got hurt tonight. So that's not good. We'll try to get some more information on that as well. Matt Swanson was the guy this evening that was really good. And they've just rolled through kind of that back end. Redbird's Farmhands tweeting out about 2 hours ago, Andre Granillo left the Memphis game with an apparent arm injury, was pointing at his bicep and his elbow area. So that's not great news. You hope that it's not much of anything and that he is going to be okay. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you tweet. You can text at me or tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air if you want to get in contact with the program today. Again, we are being brought to you in part by Graybar. Graybar is your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. I really enjoyed the Garrett Hampson, kind of the arc of his story today. We got the chance to talk with him in the pregame for the pregame show. We were in the clubhouse when he met with the assembled media for a little while. Really, just my initial reaction was I really like the guy, and he seems like somebody who's got the really correct attitude of the way you go about being a big league ball player. Wants to help the team win. He's got connections to the team. He was teammates with Nolan Arenado previously. When he was with the Marlins, he was coached by Brant Brown and John Jay. Loves Brant Brown. Excited to see what Brown can do with him here moving forward. I asked him, I said, what's the excitement level of being able to work with Brant Brown again? And he said, the thing about Brant Brown is that hitting is the hardest thing in the world, but Brown finds a way to make it seem easy. So he's glad to be back with Brown, and we'll see what he can do. We saw him in center. We saw him at shortstop today, and then we saw him pitch. And that was certainly the most fun part of this game, watching him go out 3 pitches. I love the fact, if you were listening during the network post game, he said that he held on to the ball, that he's got that ball forever. And I'm glad that he could grab that, because that is certainly a fun memory for him. What's on Deck is presented by Chesterfield Fence and Deck. The sign you have the very best. ChesterfieldFence.com. This series is going to wrap up tomorrow afternoon. Andre Palante will go for the Cardinals. Shoto Imanaga is going to go for the Cubs. 1:15 first pitch. Our coverage is set to begin at 12:20. Thanks so much for being tuned in to the program this evening. Cardinals lose to the Cubs 8-0. We'll talk to you again tomorrow for more Cardinals baseball right here on KMOX.
This is Tom Ackerman.